said don't. Shalom, shalom, Israel. Shalom. One more time for the Most High. Shalom. All praises. Clap it up, clap it up. All praises. Let's get some energy in here. All praises. It's a blessing to be before you. Like I said, shalom to all the Israelites scattered abroad, in-house, online, whatever social media platform you're on. Please like and share right now so brothers and sisters can get the gist of what's going on, what's being talked about tonight. We got a lot of brothers and sisters in Christianity that have never read the book of Esther, right? It's in the regular Bible. It's not even in the Apocrypha, right? But they have overlooked this story and neglected it, right? But it's very, very important, and we'll see why tonight, right? So the title of tonight's lesson is Mordecai, how being a good father saved the nation, right? So how many people, by raising your hands, know that every nation needs good men and good fathers? All praises to the Most High, right? Fathers provide so much to their families, their immediate families, and to their specific nation. Would you agree with me? Right, from holding, just stability, not only financially, but spiritually, mentally, emotionally, to the wives, to the children, right? The men are the backbone of the nation, right? All praises to the Most High. So let's get to it. I want to cover as much as I can. We're going to go at a brisk pace. We're going to be quick, but we're not going to hurry. All praises. So let's get Esther 1 and 1.
Book of Esther, chapter 1, verse 1. Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus, this is Ahasuerus, which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 107 and 20 provinces.
Right, so this dude named Ahasuerus. Ahasuerus is a general name for the leader or a king over the Persians or the Persians and Medes. Just like you have a term, the term Pharaoh is just a general term for the king of Egypt. You guys got that understanding? Right, so it says that he was a leader over 127 provinces, right? Read on.
That in those days, when the king Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan the palace, in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and his servants, the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and princes of the provinces being before him.
Right, so he held a feast like any other king would, right? This is my territory. I'm the king. I run this, right? It's time to eat and celebrate. Read on.
When he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty many days, even 180 days.
180 days. How many people know what that is? That's 180 days. So he had a feast for everyone in his kingdom for 6 months, right? 20 is 1 score. 20 times 4 is what? That's where we get 180 days. So that's 6 months. Read.
And when these days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan the palace, both unto great and small, 7 days, in the court of the garden of the king's palace.
Right, so after this feast in his kingdom, he had another feast with just the general population of his immediate kingdom, those in Shushan where he was reigning, right? And they had another feast for 7 days. Read on.
Where were white, green, and blue hangings, fastened with cords of fine linen and purple to silver rings and pillars of marble. The beds were of gold and silver upon a pavement of red and blue and white and black marble.
So we got a description in verse 6. Like he was balling, right? He had a lot of money, a lot of riches, right? He was a king, right? And he had a lot of things going on. We see the silver, we see the gold, so on and so forth, right? No different from this kingdom in America right now. Let's go to verse 9. Drop down to verse 9, right?
Verse 9. Also, Vashti, the queen, made a feast for the women in the royal house, which belonged to King Ahasuerus.
So King Ahasuerus had a wife, and what was her name? Her name was Vashti, right? All praises. And she decided to have her own feast for the women. Read.
On the seventh day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, and Abagtha, Zethar, and Carcass, the 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of Ahasuerus the king, to bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal, to show the people and the princes her beauty, for she was fair to look on.
So the king said, you know what? I'm feeling great. I had a drink. I want everybody to see my wife, right? I want them to see the beauty of the woman that I chose to be the queen of my kingdom, right? Read.
Verse 12. But the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment by his chamberlains.
Read that again.
But the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment by his chamberlains. Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him.
So guess what the queen decided to do? She decided to be rebellious. She said, I'm not coming. I'm doing my thing. I'm having my own feast. I'm with the girls. Read on.
Then the king said to the wise men, which knew the times, for so was the king's manner toward all that knew law and judgment.
Right, so stop there. Let's go down to 15.
Verse 15. What shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to law? Because she hath not performed the commandment of the king Ahasuerus by the chamberlains.
So they're debating and going on and saying, you know what? The queen, she's out of pocket right now. What should we do to her according to the law of how I run things, about how I run my kingdom? That's what King Ahasuerus is saying. All right, read.
And Memucan answered before the king and the princes, Vashti the queen hath not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes and to all the people that are in all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus.
Right, so she not only disrespected the king, but she disrespected all of his servants and all the other men that were in leadership under King Ahasuerus, all right, under his jurisdiction, right? Read.
For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes, when it shall be reported, the king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not.
So the king decided to say, you know what, I'm going to make a second request. Let me ask her again. Vashti, I need you to come through, right? I want to show your beauty to all those who are looking on. She rebelled once again, right? But even before that, we understand at the top of verse 17 that if she had power to have a feast for all the women, right? That she had some kind of, what word I'm looking for? She had some kind of influence, right? So if all the other women saw her rebel to her man, which is King Ahasuerus, what would they likely do? Rebel as well and do the same thing, right? Monkey see, monkey do, right? Read on.
Verse 18. Likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the king's princes which have heard of the deed of the queen. Thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath. If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes, that it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before the king Ahasuerus, and let the king give a royal estate unto another that is better than she.
So you know what? He said, look, I'm going to show my power, right? This woman is rebelling, although she's my queen and my wife. Guess what? I'm going to write a decree and say she can't come anymore, right? She's done. She's finished. Her spot is taken, right? We looking for somebody else. Read on. What verse was that?
That was verse 19.
Keep on, read.
Verse 20. And when the king's decree, which he shall make, shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is great, all the wives shall go to their husbands, shall give to their husbands honor, both to great and small.
Right. So he knew if he made this power move and made a decree against his wife for her rebelliousness, guess what? In turn, it would do the opposite, right? So instead of all the women following her and being rebellious, they'd be like, dang, you saw what the king did? We got to respect that. So they would, in turn, respect their kings and their men. Sound good? Read. Let's go.
Verse 21. And the saying pleased the king and the princes, and the king did according to the word of Memucan.
So Memucan, all right? I butchered that. He was a chamberlain or a servant of King Ahasuerus, right? So King Ahasuerus always wanted to know what he thought. He always went to him for insight or advice, right? So that's why he's in a position to where he's helping the king decide what to do, right? But he said, you know what, that sounds good. Let's do that. Read.
For he had sent letters into all the king's provinces, and to every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, that every man should bear rule in his own house, and that it should be published according to the language of every people.
So that every man should bear rule in his own house. Don't get run over by your women. Don't be a poodle. This was a decree that went out from the king, right? King Ahasuerus. So let's continue in chapter 2. Esther 2, verse 1.
After these things, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus was appeased, he remembered Vashti and what she had done and what was decreed against her.
Right, so the king felt good about his decision. He said, you know what? I did the right thing. I made a decree. I don't want you no more, Vashti, right? So let's see what he did, because now there's a vacancy, right? And the vacancy is there's no queen for the king. Read on.
Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, let there be fair young virgins sought for the king.
What did he say?
Let there be fair young virgins sought for the king.
So the king is on the hunt, all right? Read on.
And let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan the palace, to the house of the women, unto the custody of Hegi the king's chamberlain, keeper of the women, and let their things for purification be given them.
So all the women that were gathered together that are potential queens, right? They had to be gathered together and give it a specific instruction about how to be purified for the king, right? Read on.
And let the maiden which pleaseth the king be queen instead of Vashti. And the thing pleased the king, and he did so.
Right, read on.
Now when Shushan the palace, there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai.
What was his name?
Mordecai.
Read.
The son of Jair, the son of Shimi, the son of Kish, a Benjamite.
So we see Mordecai hopping on the scene, right? We know he's a Benjamite, tribe of Benjamin, right? And he's in this specific captivity. Read on.
Who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity which had been carried away with Jeconiah, king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away. And he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his
So Hadassah, how many have heard of that name, women? You've heard of Hadassah, right? Coming out of this book, which is called the Apocrypha. Now we know that Hadassah is relative to Esther. Hadassah is Esther. Read on.
And he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful, whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter.
Right. So she had neither father nor mother because they both died, right? But Mordecai was her cousin. Everybody get that? All right, read on. So Mordecai is now standing in as an acting father. He had love for his little cousin, right? Read.
So it came to pass, when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan the palace, to the custody of Hegai, that Esther was brought also unto the king's house, to the custody of Hegai, keeper of the women. And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him, and he speedily gave her things for purification.
Right, so this is Esther. She came in on her job, doing what she needed to do. You know what I mean? Read on.
Which such things as belonged to her, and 7 maidens which were meet to be given her out of the king's house.
Right, so at this point, she's already excelling the other women, the other candidates, to the point to where he said, you know what? I need you for this specific one right here, Esther. I need you to give her such and such, put her in a such and such place, give her such and such food, lace her with this, right? So she already had an advantage. Read on.
And he preferred her and her maidens unto the best place of the house of the women.
Her and her what?
And her maids.
He even went as far as to give her 7 maidens. You see what I'm saying? The other candidates or the other young maidens, they didn't get that. They were just going through the purification process, but they didn't get the maidens from King Ahasuerus like Esther did. So she had favor, right? All right, read on.
Verse 10. Esther had not showed her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it.
So what did the Bible just say? She did not show her people or her kindred because she was a what? She was a Jew or an Israelite, right? And they were in the Persian and Mede captivity, which are our enemies according to the Bible, right? So she had to disclose and keep it a secret who she was, right? Because there's a mission that she's on. Read.
And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women's house to know how Esther did and what should become of her.
You see that? You see how Mordecai was hands-on? He said, look, you got to move this way and that way. Don't talk when you don't need to talk. Speak when you need to speak. But look, move like a godly woman, basically, in a nutshell. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because we're under a captivity, right? We're under enemy territory, right? So it says that he observed and looked and made sure that she was doing everything that she needed to do. All right? Read.
Now when every maid's turn was come to go into King Ahasuerus, after that she had been 12 months, according to the manner of the women, for so were the days of their purification.
Let's drop down. Go to 15.
Verse 15. Now when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, was come to go in unto the king, she required nothing but what Haggai, the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the women, appointed.
So it came to a time to where each individual woman, each individual candidate to be the queen had her chance and her opportunity to go before the king, right? And they had opportunity to have accessories and jewelry, and it's no different from a pageant. Anybody familiar with a beauty pageant or Miss America and things of that nature, ladies? Right? Sometimes you get to switch different dresses, and they say you want this chain, and you got a whole selection of things to beautify yourself before you come before the judges. Am I making sense now? All praises. Y'all with me? Continue. Read on. But before you start that next verse, it says that Esther, she wasn't worried about any of those things because he had already given her favor because she already had, remember, 7 handmaids. And he gave her portions and things of that nature. So there was nothing else that she needed, right? Read on.
And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all them that looked upon her. So Esther was taken unto King Ahasuerus and to his house royal in the 10th month, which is the month Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. And the king loved Esther above all the women.
Read that again.
And the king loved Esther above all the women. And she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti.
So now we got a new queen. Esther is now queen to King Ahasuerus, a Persian king. Everybody got it? Right? Is she with an Israelite man? Nope. She's with the heathen. All right? Continue. Read.
Then the king made a great feast unto all his princes and his servants, even Esther's feast. And he made a release to the provinces and gave gifts according to the state of the king.
All praises. So let's go read a couple more. Read.
And when the virgins were gathered together the second time, then Mordecai sat in the king's gate. Esther had not yet showed her kindred nor her people, as Mordecai had charged her. For Esther did the commandment of Mordecai.
For Esther did what?
Did the commandment of Mordecai.
She did the commandment of Mordecai. She didn't do her own thing. She followed the program. She stuck to the script, right? There's a bigger plan and a bigger plot unfolding. All right, we're going to see. Read on.
Like as when she was brought up with him. In those days.
Wait, I want to put that out there. As when she was brought up with him. So even before this point, going back to her younger days when she lost her mother and father, she was already taking biblical instruction. He was already teaching her how to move, right? She just didn't understand all of a sudden, understand righteousness at the spur of the moment when it was time for this to happen as a woman. She already had her honest education as an Israelite woman. She was raised right in these scriptures. Read on. 21.
Verse 21. In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, 2 of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan and Teresh, of those which kept the door, were wroth and sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus.
So we got a twist in the plot. It says, in these days, now Mordecai is in the court. He's on the scene, right? He's still monitoring and watching Esther, his cousin, right? In the process of all that happening, you had two of the king's chamberlains or his servants. They were doormen, all right? All of a sudden, they get the little hater spirit, seeing what Mordecai, who is this dude? We don't know him. You see what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, they became wroth or angry and sought to lay hands on King Ahasuerus, right? Probably because they wanted to be promoted or something. You know what I mean? It was some pride in the mix, right? Read.
And the thing was known to Mordecai, who told it unto Esther the queen. And Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name.
So let's break that down. Now here's the wisdom of brother Mordecai. He said, you know what? And the king and the thing, verse 22, was known to Mordecai. So Mordecai knew how those two doormen felt, right? So guess what he did? He relayed that to Esther, and then Esther relayed it to who? King Ahasuerus, right? And put him up on game and let him know, like, look, two of your servants, two of your doormen, they want to put hands on you. They want to beat you down, right? So let's not forget that, all right? Now we're going to, let's see. Read one more verse. Read 23.
Verse 23. And when inquisition was made of the matter, it was found out. Therefore, they were both hanged on a tree, and it was written in the book of the Chronicles before the king.
So you see what happened? Mordecai moving in wisdom, right? Told Esther. Esther told the king. The king made a quick decree. Oh, okay, I got enemies in here. I got infiltration going on. My doormen, they wicked. Guess what? They want to put hands on me. I'm going to knock them off. The king had the power to do so, right? Everybody still with me, right? All right, Esther 3:1. Everybody understanding? Got a good understanding? Right. All praises. Esther 3:1. Let's read.
The book of Esther 3. Mic check, mic check. The book of Esther 3:1. After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, or Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite.
The who?
The Agagite.
Everybody know what a Haggagite is? Not only is it an Edomite, but it's a specific tribe of Edomites. Anybody understand where we going with the Agagite thing? What is he? He's an Amalekite. All praises to the Most High. What did the Most High say about the Amalekites in the law, the book of Numbers, in the book of Deuteronomy? That he will have war with them for how long? Forever and ever. Let's not forget that, right? Generation after generation. From then even up until now, to this very, very day. Right? Read.
The Agagite and advanced him and set his seat above all princes that were with him. And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate vowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him.
Right, so the king promoted this dude named Haman, right? The Agagite, he's an Edomite. He's now in power, right? Read on.
Verse 3. Mic check, mic check. Y'all can hear me? Verse 3. Then the king's servants which were in the king's gate said unto Mordecai, why transgresseth thou the king's commandment?
Why did they ask him that? The servants of the king, right? These Persians and Medes and other nations, they said, look, Mordecai, why are you transgressing? Why are you going against the grain to go up in here, right? Don't you know that Haman just got promoted by Ahasuerus? You're not showing respect to Ahasuerus nor Haman, right? You're not bowing down. You're not reverencing them. Read on.
Now it came to pass, when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matter would stand. For he had told them that he was a Jew.
See? So all of a sudden, they was like, you know what? I knew it was something up with that dude. You know what I'm saying? He a Jew. He just let us know, right? So now you already know that spiritual contention is there. You know what I'm saying? You guys know how it is, you know what I'm saying, in this kingdom right here. You know how it is at work when you're doing your thing. And it's that one person or that one man or that one woman that always comes after you. You know what I'm saying? You a phenomenal worker, right? Worker of the month. All of a sudden, you got somebody trying to get you fired. Those other spirits that are adverse to us. All right, read on.
And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, then was Haman full of wrath.
Right. Read on.
And he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had shown him the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, even the people of Mordecai.
So this dude Haman, he was so wicked, he said, you know what? That Jew Mordecai to be in the court and on the property, guess what? He hasn't respected me the way I feel I should be respected, right? He's below me. He's a Jew. He's a servant. What is he doing? Why is he not, you know what I'm saying? Why is he not giving me my respect? Why is he not giving me my props, right? So guess what? Because of that, what did Haman do? He said, you know what? I want to destroy all the Jews. You a Jew? I want to kill all the Jews. Forget all of y'all. That's how he felt, all right? Read on. What was that, verse 6? Drop down to 8, read.
Verse 8, and Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all provinces of thy kingdom.
He said, you know what? Guess what? This dude, Haman, he went and told Ahasuerus, like, I don't know if you know about this dude, Mordecai, but he a Jew. And he's one of those ones who have been scattered abroad. All right? Read.
And their laws are diverse from all people.
Read it again.
Their laws are diverse from all people.
Right. And they're doing their own thing. They moving the way that they want to move. Read on.
Neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them.
See, so he like, you might as well get rid of them because they're not keeping our laws. They're not keeping the laws of the Persians and the Medes. They have their own laws. They're doing their own thing. Continue.
If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business to bring it into the king's treasuries.
So guess what? This dude Haman was to the point to where he would pay to get the Jews or the Israelites destroyed. Read on.
And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, the Jews' enemy.
What was Haman?
The Jews' enemy.
Read.
And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given to thee, the people also. Do with them as it seemeth good to thee. Then were the king's scribes called unto the 13th day of the first month, and there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants, and to the governors that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people and every province, according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language in the name of King Ahasuerus was it written and sealed with the king's ring.
Another plot twist. Haman said, you know what? Since I'm in second command, guess what? I'm about to run to the king because I have influence. I have more influence than Mordecai, and the king is going to believe me. So just as it said, guess what? The king did believe him. Ahasuerus said, you know what? Make a law, make a decree. Make it happen. I believe you, right? So now you have a decree against the Jews, right? Because Haman is a hater. Read on.
And the letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill.
Listen up, Israel. This is what happened then, and this happens now in the United States of America, all right? Against you, God's chosen people. It said to do what?
To destroy.
To destroy. Read.
To kill.
To kill.
And cause to perish.
And cause to perish. Read.
All Jews.
Some of the Jews.
All Jews.
Spare the women.
All Jews.
And the kids. You see what I'm saying? They didn't give a doggone about us, right? And still don't. Read on.
All Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take the spoil of them for a prey.
Kill all of them and take them for a spoil. Take all the garments, all the head pieces, the mitres, the dresses, the tunics, whatever they got of value, take it from them. Spoil them. Read on.
The copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, that they should be ready against that day.
That they should be ready against that day, meaning guess what? Everybody that lived in those provinces under the rulership of King Ahasuerus, y'all be ready to move on the Jews at the drop of a dime, right? When I say go, y'all be ready, right? Be ready to do what? Kill, destroy, and everything that we just heard. Spoil, right? Read.
The post went out, being hastened by the king's commandment, and the decree was given in Shushan the palace, and the king of Haman sat down to drink. Salakia. And the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city Shushan was perplexed.
And the king and Haman sat down to drink. So Haman, he pulled a fast one, right? But guess what? At the end of verse 15, it said that Shushan as a city was perplexed. Why is this decree going out against us? What's going on? What did we do as a people in the province of Ahasuerus? Nothing, right? The same thing you say about America, right? When your food is tainted, when your water is tainted, right? When you are economically subdued and things of this nature, financially, right? Are we able to get ahead in this country financially? Right. Do you get the same rights and privileges from America? So it's the same thing then and it's the same thing now, right? Read on. That was it. Let's go to the top of 4. 4 and 1. Read.
4 and 1. When Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes, and went out into the midst of the city and cried with a loud and bitter cry.
Why did he do this? Because he know that Haman did this as an injustice. You see what I'm saying? Just because Mordecai didn't bow down to Haman, didn't fear Haman, and didn't give him respect, Haman went back and lied to the king, and now all of this is happening to the Jews. All right, read on.
And came even before the king's gate, for none might enter in the king's gate clothed with sackcloth.
Right, go to verse 4.
4. So Esther's maids and her chamberlains came and told it her. Then was the queen exceedingly grieved, and she sent raiment to clothe Mordecai and to take away his sackcloth from him, but he received it not.
Right, so she took care of her big cousin, right? But she's grieved because she understands what Haman is doing, right? He pulled an underhanded move, right? It wasn't right for the Jews to have a decree for them to be killed, right? All of this is not even worthy. We didn't do anything. Read on.
Then called Esther for Hatak, one of the king's chamberlains, whom he appointed to attend upon her, and gave him a commandment to Mordecai to know what it was and why it was.
Right, so Esther sent Hatak, which is one of her servants, right? One of the king's servants, to see what was going on with Mordecai. Why is this happening? Read on.
So Hatak went forth to Mordecai unto the street of the city, which was before the king's gate. And Mordecai told him all that had happened unto him, and of the sum of the money that Haman had promised to pay to the king's treasuries for the Jews to destroy them.
Right. So another decree is going out in verse 8. Read.
Also he gave him a copy of the written of the decree that was given at Shushan to destroy them, to show it unto Esther and to declare it unto her, and to charge her that she should go in unto the king to make supplication unto him and to make request before him for her people.
So now, here's the thing. Esther is queen. She's in a position to where she could make things happen and make changes happen, right? So Mordecai went to Esther and said, you know what, you got to get this overturned. What can we do about this? All right? The decree is out for all of us to be destroyed as a nation. What are you going to do? What can we make happen? Read on.
And Hatak came.
You know what? Drop down to 11.
All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces do know that whatsoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king into their inner court, who is not called, there is one law of his to put him to death.
Right.
Except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, that he may live. But I have not been called to come in unto the king these 30 days.
Right. So Mordecai understand, like, okay, you know what? Esther is in a position to make change, but she can't do it the way she wants to. It has to be patience involved. It has to be done a certain way, because you just can't come to the king like that. You see what I'm saying? He has to hold out the golden scepter. He has to allow you to come to him, right? So they're waiting for an opportunity, all right? Read on. Verse 12.
And they told Mordecai Esther's words. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews.
So Mordecai is like, look, Esther, you're not thinking, look, you trying to go about this a certain way. All of us are going to die anyway. It don't matter because you in the palace. You feel me? The decree has already went out that all Jews should be killed, regardless of age, right? So you might as well be about the whole understanding that we need you to save us, basically. We need you to rescue the nation, to deliver the nation. Read on. Give me 13. Was that 13?
Yeah,
That was 13?
we have 14.
Give me 15. Read. Nah, just read 15.
15. Then Esther bade them, Salakia, then Esther bade them return Mordecai this answer. Go rather together, all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. I also and my maidens will fast likewise. And so will I go in unto the king, which is not according to the law. And if I perish, I perish.
She said, if I die, I die. She said, but guess what? I haven't been called. The king hasn't pointed out the scepter to me. But guess what? I'm not going to be fearful. We're going to do a 3-day fast. Mordecai, I need you to tell all the Jews in Shushan, right, and all of the provinces under King Ahasuerus, we need the 3-day fast. And then after that, I'm going to do what I need to do. All right? Everybody with me? All praises.
Can I say something right quick?
Read on. Go ahead.
Did y'all notice that Esther made her maidens fast, and they wasn't even of the nation of Israel? That's the power we have when we righteous. We make everybody do everything that we supposed to do for the Most High.
Beautiful point. Clap it up. All praises. Con. 17 real quick. But she said, look, if I die, I die, right? But she fasted to the Most High so the Most High could intervene so things could be done according to the will of the Most High. She wanted to be inside the margin to the aspect of doing things the way the Most High wanted to do. She didn't want to make a mistake. Read on, verse 17.
So Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther had commanded him.
Right, and that was to let everybody know about the 3-day fast, all right? Let's go to 5. Top of 5. You know what? Let's get 1 through 3. 5, 1 through 3. Go ahead.
Now it came to pass on the 3rd day that Esther put on the royal apparel.
The 3rd day was what? The fast about to end, right? Prayers were sent up to the Most High. After the 3rd day, read.
And stood in the inner court of the king's house, over against the king's house. And the king sat upon his royal throne in the royal house, over against the gate of the house.
Right, so she's approaching the king, right? In wisdom, though. Read on.
And it was so, when the king saw Esther, the queen, standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight. And the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand. So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter.
You see what I'm saying? All of a sudden, after the 3-day fast, reaching out to the Most High, all the Jews going forth in prayer and fasting, right? Denying ourselves. Look at the favor that the Most High gave her with the king, right? He put the scepter out. It was her time, right? Let's make that move. Verse 3, read.
Then said the king unto her, What wilt thou, Queen Esther?
Esther, what do you need? What do you want? Read on.
And what is thy request? It shall be even given thee to the half of the kingdom.
Whatever you ask for, I'll give you up to half of the kingdom. We got that? Let's continue. Drop down to 7.
Verse 7. Then answered Esther and said, My petition and my request is, if I have found favor in the sight of the king, and if it please the king to grant me my petition and to perform my request, let the king and Haman come to the banquet, and I shall prepare for them, and I will do tomorrow as the king has said.
See, so her request was an invitation for King Ahasuerus and second in command, Haman, who wants to destroy the Jews, right? She's preparing a banquet for them. Why would she do that when she understands what Haman want to do to the Jews? We're going to see why. But she's moving in wisdom, right? All praises. All right. Let me see. Was that 8, Doc? Yeah, that was 8. Let's go to Esther 7. Top of 7. Let me get 7 and 1. Y'all still with me? All right. Y'all understanding the breakdown, or we confused? We understand it, right? All praises. All praises to the Most High. Read.
Esther chapter 7, verse 1. So the king and Haman came to banquet with Esther the queen. And the king said again unto Esther on the second day at the banquet of wine, What is thy petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? It shall be performed, even to the half of the kingdom.
So this is being reiterated because the first time it was said in chapter 5, it was an invitation. Now it's the actual banquet. They're actually physically there, right? All right. So now he's asking again in person, what do you want? I'll give you up to half of the kingdom. Read on.
And then Esther the queen answered and said, If I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition and my people at my request.
See, so now she's moving in wisdom again to the aspect to where it's no secret to King Ahasuerus what she's on. He's already familiar with Mordecai, right? He's already heard that name a couple times. The queen is already in position where she is. You know what I'm saying? She already has influence. He already knows that she is Jew. And now she revealing that, guess what? I'm about my people. All right? I'm about my people. Read.
For we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage.
So basically, indirectly, she's saying that something is going on. Without her saying Haman, right? She's saying there's an enemy in the camp. You feel what I'm saying? And she's basically saying that there's a decree against us, right? Without saying it, she's saying it. You guys with me? So we've been sold, right? We're under your rulership, but there's an enemy. Read on.
Then the king Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther the queen, Who is he and where is he that durst presume in his heart to do so?
So the king said, who are you talking about? Who wants to do this to you and your people? Read on.
And Esther said, The adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman.
See, read.
Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen.
See, so you see the plot twist. Do you see the wisdom that she's moving in? Do you see how she invited this wicked man, Haman, that wanted to destroy the Jews? Oh, I'm going to give you an invitation to eat. You see how she got him crossed up with the king now? So at this point, who has more influence? Although Haman is second in command under Ahasuerus, right? She's still the queen, right? So she's using and flexing her power and influence right now. So let's see how the king responded, right? Give me 7.
And the king, arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath, went into the palace.
No, in his what?
In his wrath.
No, he was happy.
In his wrath.
See? So who has the favor? Is it Haman or is it the Queen Esther? It's Esther. Read on.
Went into the palace garden, and Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king.
So just looking at the body language, reading the body language, Haman is like, oh my goodness, the king is actually siding with her. I'm jacked up. My life is on the line. Read on.
Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet of wine, and Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was.
So all of a sudden he discombobulating, falling on the bed with the queen, knowing you shouldn't even be doing that. You know what I'm saying? Read on.
Then said the king, Will he force the queen also before me in the house?
Now, see what I'm saying? You see that favor? Now King Ahasuerus is even like, what you doing? Like, you about to force her to do something? Like, what? Where's your mind at? Read on.
As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face.
They did what?
They covered Haman's face.
Is that a good thing for somebody to cover your face? Right. It's something about to go down. Read on.
And Harbona, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, Behold, also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, Hang him thereon.
The king said, do what?
Hang him thereon.
So one of the other servants or chamberlains of King Ahasuerus is unveiling the fact that, guess what? Haman already had it out to hang Mordecai. Remember when he felt that Mordecai didn't respect him, didn't bow down to him when he got promoted, when he was second in charge? He wanted to hang Mordecai back then, right? And you can go back to read that. I'm not going to read that right now, but you could go back to Esther chapter 5 and start at verse 9 all the way down, and you will see that. You know what I mean? But I don't want to bring that up earlier because there was no need. But now we already know what the scriptures say. You know what I'm saying? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. You know what I'm saying? What you hope or wish on another brother going to double back on you, right? So this is what we're seeing, right? What verse are we on, King?
10. Verse 10.
Read that.
So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had.
They did what?
They hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified.
See, now the king is pacified. He feel good. Like, you know what I'm saying? Mordecai been doing good. Esther been doing good. You showing me your allegiance. You let me know when two of my own doormen wanted to put hands on me. I put him to death. Now here again, y'all, hey, I'm feeling y'all Jews. You know what I'm saying? It's a good thing, right? All praises. Let's go to 8 real quick. Get, T, you got me? Let me get 1 through 17. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Verse 1.
Out of breath. Go ahead.
On that day did the king Ahasuerus give the house of Haman the Jews enemy unto Esther the queen.
Where we at? Read on. Yeah, my bad. Start there from the top.
Con.
Esther 8:1. Let's get it.
Verse 1. On that day did the king Ahasuerus give the house of Haman the Jews enemy unto Esther the queen. And Mordecai came before the king, for Esther had told what he was unto her. And the king took off his ring, which he had taken from Haman, and gave it unto Mordecai. And Esther set Mordecai over the house of Haman.
So now you got 2 Jews in the mix under a heathen king. You see what I'm saying? Haman has been knocked off, all right? King Ahasuerus took his ring. Now all of a sudden, Mordecai is being promoted, all right? With the help of who? Esther, his little cousin. Read on.
And Esther spake yet again before the king, and fell down at his feet, and besought him with tears to put away the mischief of Haman the Agagite, and his device that he had devised against the Jews. Then the king held out the golden scepter toward Esther. So Esther arose and stood before the king, and said, If it please the king, and if I have found favor in his sight, and the thing seem right before the king, and I be pleasing in his eyes, let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite.
All right, I want you to, that specific part, I want you to read it again. Catch this, Israel. Read.
Let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite.
Right. So she's petitioning the king again. Why is she doing this? Because Haman, he made a decree, right? Earlier in the earlier chapters. Y'all remember that? For all the Jews to be killed on a certain day, a certain hour. Now that Haman is gone and out the picture, she's using her influence to reverse that decree. You see what I'm saying? Y'all see how much power this woman has? She's moving in wisdom. She's a woman of the Most High. And that's a lot of power that the Israelite woman have. Like when you move under the Most High, under your head, you know what I'm saying, which is your husband. You see what I'm saying? These are the kind of things that can be done and the kind of progress that could be made. We need to clap it up for the Most High. Like real talk. You know what I'm saying? Where this woman was able to move in stealth, you see what I'm saying, undetected. And the Most High gave her and Mordecai favor, all right? Read on. What verse we on?
Verse 6. For how can I endure to see the evil that shall come unto my people? Or how can I endure to see the destruction of my kindred?
You see those questions that she's asking? She's for her people without a doubt. I want you to read that verse again because that's important. A lot of our people are still kind of attached to the other nations. You see what I'm saying? They're not fully pro-Israelite yet. You know what I'm saying? They're not fully convinced. So read that again.
Verse 6. For how can I endure to see the evil that shall come unto my people?
Unto everybody?
My people.
See, she's worried about her people. All right? And a lot of our Israelite brothers and sisters got to get out the culture shock. Yes, God is dealing with his people. All right? He's not dealing with everybody. This is the Bible. Okay? Wake up. His people. All right? All praises to the Most High. That's something that we got to accept. You can't reject that. You know what I'm saying? You can't have more love for the other nations when God made you an Israelite. He's the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So in my spirit, I just needed to put that out there. All right? Read on. That is fair, right? I said it's fair. All praises. Read.
Or how can I endure to see the destruction of my kindred? Then the king Ahasuerus said unto Esther the queen, and to Mordecai the Jew, Behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him they have hanged upon the gallows, because he had laid his hand upon the Jews.
Right, read.
Write ye also for the Jews.
Here's the important part. This is why she's here. She's getting her way now here in verse 8. Do what?
Write ye also for the Jews, as it liketh you, in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring. For the writing which is written in the king's name and sealed with the king's ring may no man reverse.
No man can reverse this. So now she's gotten her way in righteousness. Now we got the decree to have the initial decree against the Jews overturned. You see what I'm saying? Now we got things going in our favor, and we ain't even in our own kingdom. God, man, what a mighty God we serve. Come on now. Come on now. Oh, praises. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going.
Then were the king's scribes called at that time in the 3rd month.
So I'm going to paraphrase verse 9. The scribes were called, all the people who were putting law for King Ahasuerus. They sent the decree out to everybody in all the 127 provinces that he was under control. At this point, this is a good portion of the earth, right? This is a good portion of the earth that he was in rulership over at this time, all right? We're not just talking about no Hawaii or Canada, or he was ruling over a large portion of the earth. So this was big time. And guess what? There wasn't no FedEx, no USPX, and none of that back then, all right? Things had to go by camel and horse and foot and what else? Birds, and it wasn't no helicopters and no jets and none of that. You know what I'm saying? So things was a slow process, right? All right, read. Give me the next verse, 10.
Verse 10. And he wrote in the king Ahasuerus' name and sealed it with the king's ring and sent letters by post on horseback.
By post on horseback, read.
And riders on mules, camels, and young dromedaries.
Mules and camels, and read, 11.
Wherein the king granted the Jews which were in every city to gather themselves together and to stand for their life.
To gather themselves together and to stand for your life, right? Because guess what? Although the decree was overturned, guess what? Not everybody knew about it. A lot of people still knew about the initial decree that Haman sent out about us being destroyed, right? So he's saying, look, on the contrary, be ready to defend your life. All right, read.
To destroy, to slay, and to cause to perish all the power of the people and province that would assault them, both little ones and women, and to take the spoil of them for a prey.
See, I like that. So what is he saying? He's saying, be ready to fight back, and everything they sought to do to you, guess what? You be ready to do to them. That deserves a amen. Man. Hey, and guess who backing this? God is backing this. God didn't say this is evil. He said, defend yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's going to come to this again, right? Does history repeat itself? All right, then. This is the Bible we dealing with. All right, read.
Upon one day in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus, namely upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, the copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, and that the Jews should be ready against that day to avenge themselves on their enemies.
All right, drop down to 15.
And Mordecai went out from the presence of the king in royal apparel of blue and white, and with a great crown of gold, and with a garment of fine linen and purple. And the city of Shushan rejoiced and was glad.
See, that was a good thing. That was a righteous thing. It's a precept that I'm looking for about it being righteous, getting back at our... yeah, let me get that precept. It's something... go to Google real quick. Seeing it's a righteous thing, something like that. I need that. Read that. All praises. Let's see what God got to say. All praises. He got it.
2 Thessalonians chapter 1 and verse 6. Seeing it is a righteous thing.
No, it's a wicked thing.
It is a righteous thing with the Most High to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you.
It's a righteous thing to get that get back according to the Bible. It said according to who? The Most High. All right? All praises. So I just wanted to bring, that came to my spirit. So precept upon precept, we get this understanding, right? Don't be scared to fight back for your life in righteousness and go out, you know what I'm saying, with spiritual stripes. You know what I'm saying? I want to be a spiritual master sergeant. I want to be a spiritual lieutenant. I want to die for something that means something. I don't want to die a Crip or a defunct blood or, you see what I'm saying? Nah, we finna die for the Most High, man. You know what I'm saying? All praises, man. Where we at? We almost done.
Verse 16.
Read.
The Jews had light and gladness and joy and honor.
So that perked us up. We was happy, all right? It's an exciting thing to know, okay, God approves that I fight back. I can fight for my life in righteousness. That's a good thing. Read on.
And in every province and in every city, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a good day, and many of the people of the land became Jews, for the fear of the Jews fell upon them.
So all of a sudden, you got heathens wanting to keep the law now. You know what I'm saying? Things are in our favor. Yeah, they still got their king Ahasuerus, but the Most High swayed things to the point to where it's like, okay, dang, Esther, Mordecai, like, it's no different. What did Joseph do in Egypt? What position was Joseph in Egypt? You see how much influence he had when the famine was coming and things of that nature? It ain't no different. It ain't no different. You know what I'm saying? The Most High gave us influence in Egypt, right? And he's doing it the same thing here. Nothing different, right? Second in command, right? Esther would by default be second in command, right? I mean, as the queen with her influence, not literally, but
Put it like this, like the in the book, I believe, of First Esdras, where it talks about women are the strongest. So that's your answer right there.
Con. All right, we almost done. I thank y'all for bearing with me. And we ain't took that long, man. Got a lot of edification in so far. Let me get chapter 9 real quick. Let's go 1 through 6.
The book of Esther 9 and 1. And in the 12th month, that is the month of Adar, on the 13th day of the same, when the king's commandment and his decree drew near to be put in execution, in the day that the enemies of the Jews hoped to have power over them.
Hoped to have power over them initially by the decree that Haman made, but read.
Though it was turned to the contrary.
Though the Most High overturned it, right? And now the opposite is happening, right? Read.
That the Jews had rule over them that hated them.
Right. Read.
The Jews gathered themselves together in the cities throughout the provinces of King Ahasuerus to lay hand on such as sought their hurt.
Listen, the Jews now are gathering together to do what? Read that part again. To lay hands on such as sought their hurt. Right. So we're preparing to lay hands on those who sought to hurt us. Read.
And no man could withstand them. For the fear of them fell upon all people.
Right. Just like when you're walking down the street and they move. Like, you know what I'm saying? That same fear fell upon them, right? Read on.
And all the rulers of the provinces and the lieutenants and the deputies and the officers of the king helped the Jews because the fear of Mordecai fell upon them.
Read.
For Mordecai was great in the king's house, and his fame went out throughout all the provinces, for this man Mordecai waxed greater and greater.
Man, read.
Thus,
Awesome.
Thus the Jews smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword, and slaughter and destruction, and did what they would unto those that hated them.
Right. One more. Verse 6.
And in Shushan the palace, the Jews slew and destroyed 500 men.
All praises to the Most High. Look at that. If that's not favor from the Most High, I don't know what is. You know what I'm saying? Put that spirit on us to do to our enemies as they would have done to us, man. It's a beautiful thing. Verse 10, read.
Then 10 sons of Haman, the 10 sons of Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the enemy of the Jews, slew they. But on the spoil laid they not their hand.
So I skipped verses 7 through 9 because it says some different names about people that we put to death. But I wanted to focus on 10 because the Most High put the spirit on us to make sure that we got the sons of Haman. All right? So we could destroy his whole seed, his whole lineage, and get rid of all these little Hamanites, you know what I'm saying, that would also seek to destroy the Jews if they had gotten of age, right? Oh, praises, man. The Most High is a genius with that, though. Knocked his 10 sons off too, man. Verse 12.
And the king said unto Esther the queen, the Jews have slain and destroyed 500 men in Shushan the palace, and the 10 sons of Haman. What have they done in the rest of the king's provinces?
So the king is like, man, y'all going bananas out there. What else have y'all done? Who else have you guys killed? Read.
Now what is thy petition, and it shall be granted thee? Or what is thy request further, and it shall be done?
He's still giving favor. What else do you want? What else do you need? How else can I help you? All right? This is a true testimony of that scripture that says the Most High will cause your enemies to be your footstool and be a help to you. You see what I'm saying? All right? This is a real thing. It's a real thing now in this captivity as well. That's what you guys got to remember. All right? We're only going through this because guess what? The Most High is reminding us that this same time is coming again. All right? Read.
Then said Esther, if it please the king, let it be granted to the Jews which are in Shushan to do tomorrow also according to this day's decree. And let Haman's 10 sons be hanged upon the gallows.
See, the Most High, he's lovely. He got the overkill going. He already put the 10 sons to death, right? Well, now, even though they dead, we're going to hang their bodies. Still going to hang them. Read.
And the king commanded it so to be done. And the decree was given at Shushan that they should hang Haman's 10 sons.
Read.
For the Jews that were in Shushan gathered themselves together on the 14th day also of the month Adar, and slew 300 men at Shushan, but on the prey they laid not their hand.
So we killed another, what was that? Another 300. And if you really understand history and how accurate the Bible is, this is the 14th day of the 12th month. So it literally happened today, way back then, though. You know what I'm saying? It's our anniversary. All right? Real talk. This Bible ain't no joke, all right? Read.
But the other Jews that were in the king's provinces gathered themselves together and stood for their lives and the rest from their enemies, and slew of their foes 75,000. But they laid not their hands on the prey.
See, so it's something that's being reiterated. Knocked off another 75,000, but the Most High, for some reason, we didn't even want their prey. All right? Excuse me. We didn't want their spoils or their possessions. You know what I mean? Right? We didn't want their dresses. We didn't want their crowns. We didn't want their fringes. You know what I'm saying? We killed them and they lay dead. Right? Read on.
On the 13th day of the month Adar, and on the 14th day of the same rested day, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. But the Jews that were at Shushan assembled together on the 13th day thereof, and on the 14th day thereof. And on the 15th day of the same, they rested and made it a day of feasting and gladness.
This is the 14th day of the 12th month. Tomorrow, right, is the 15th day. When the sun go down tomorrow, it's the end of the 14th day and the 15th day. The Bible just told us in 2 verses that it should be a day of what?
Of rest.
And what?
A day of feasting and gladness.
We're going to be resting, we're going to be feasting, and we're going to be glad, right? Are you happy about this? All praises to the Most High, man. Finish that off, King.
Therefore the Jews of the villages that dwelt in the unwalled towns made the 14th day of the same month Adar a day of gladness and feasting, and a good day and of sending portions one to another.
So we about to send portions. The kids, look at that. Everybody look at that table. We finna feast, be glad, and the kids are gonna send portions one to another. Look at the kids, they ready. Y'all, hey kids, y'all ready? Y'all ready? Say Shalam Yasharahla. Oh, praises. They ready. They enjoy this, man. This is better than Christmas, man. This is according to the Bible right here. All right, read.
And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters unto all the Jews that were in all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus, both nigh and far, to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month Adar and the 15th day of the same yearly.
So this is in the Bible, and it's a commandment telling us that we need to keep this, right? The 14th and the 15th day. Purim, right? Casting lots. Read.
As the days wherewith the Jews rested from their enemies, and the month which was turned unto them from sorrow to joy.
See, so we went from sorrow to joy as a nation. Read on.
And from mourning into a good day,
that
they should make them days of feasting and joy, and of sending portions one to another and gifts to the poor.
All praises to the Most High. I'm getting excited right now. We almost done. 25 through 28. Right? So now we see that Esther was used to destroy the Jews. Excuse me. Esther was sent to destroy the enemies of the Jews. And now we're reading about the institution of the Feast of Purim. All right, read 25.
But when Esther came before the king, he commanded by letters that his wicked device, which he devised against the Jews, should return upon his own head, and that he and his sons should be hanged on the gallows. Wherefore they call these days Purim, after the day of Pur. Therefore, for all the words of this letter, and of that which they had seen concerning this matter, and which had come upon them, the Jews ordained and took upon them, and upon their seed, and upon all such as joined themselves unto them, so as it should not fail, that they would keep these 2 days.
That they would keep these 2 days, right? Read.
According to their writing, and according to their appointed time every year.
Every other year?
Every year.
Every year we're commanded to keep this. All praises to the Most High, right? 28.
And that these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation.
Read that part again.
That they should be remembered and kept throughout every generation.
That's why it's called a memorial, because we're supposed to remember, right? Read.
Every family, every province, and every city. And that these days of Purim should not fail among the Jews, nor the memorial of them perish from their seed.
So that's why we continue to teach our kids. And they're going to teach their kids. And so on and so forth until the return of Yahweh Shai. Right? That's what we're going to do. Teach these laws. You feel me? Last passage of scripture. There's a lot about Purim also in the Apocrypha, right? But I wanted to make a point and show our brothers and sisters who are watching online, those tapping in. We appreciate you, honing in. All praises to the Most High. But that even without the Apocrypha, there's a lot of things that our brothers and sisters in Christianity and other religions, they aren't celebrating. But they're still calling themselves true Christians, true followers of Christ. But here we have in the book of Esther in the Old Testament, clear as day, instruction on these 2 days, and yet they fail and lack to teach in the Christian church. You see what I'm saying? That's a shame and a travesty. So my brothers and sisters, we got to start teaching this Bible right. But before you could teach it right, guess what? You got to submit and keep these laws and commandments as an Israelite, not as a Buddhist, not as a Baptist, all right? Not as a Methodist, not as a Seventh-day Adventist, but as an Israelite, all right? Last passage, additions to Esther. Additions to Esther in the Apocrypha, chapter 1. This is one of my favorite right here about this whole, because a lot of people overlook this one right here, but it's relative to tonight and tomorrow night indeed. Let me get there real quick, my brother. There it is. I'm ready. It say 1, but it started at 5. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, for sure. You ready?
Yep.
Book of Esther in the Apocrypha, the very first verse. Then Mordecai said, the Most High have done these things.
This is the same Mordecai that we're talking about in Esther, right? He's saying God has did this. God did this, right? How many people know that, what's that big rapper? Come on, young folk, help me. DJ Khaled. Who heard of him? And he got a song, and what he be saying? I need y'all to say it loud so they can hear y'all online. 1, 2, 3. God did. Yeah, God did. Right? That's what he's saying right there. Read that again, King.
Yahweh did. Then Mordecai said, the Most High have done these things.
Right. The Most High have done these things. God did, right? Because that's who God is, Yahweh. All right? Read.
For I remember a dream which I saw concerning these matters, and nothing thereof hath failed.
So he's remembering back about the times that we read in the book of Esther and about all the times that we just read about. This whole lesson, right? He's rethinking about this. All right? But it wasn't a dream. It was real life. Read.
A little fountain became a river, and there was light, and the sun, and much water. This river is Esther, whom the king married and made queen.
Read.
And the 2 dragons are I and Haman.
Mordecai said those 2 dragons, I was one of them. He said, but the other one was Haman. Read.
And the nations were those that were assembled to destroy the name of the Jews.
Right. All right, specifically the Persians and the Medes, but everybody else that followed the decree of Haman, right, that wanted to destroy the Jews. All of those heathens as well. Read.
And my nation is this Israel.
Say that again.
And my nation is this Israel.
Read.
Which cried to the Most High and were saved. For the Lord hath saved his people, and the Lord hath delivered us from all those evils. And the Most High have wrought signs and great wonders, which have not been seen amongst the Gentiles.
Read.
Therefore hath he made 2 lots.
What does Purim mean? Purim? Casting lots, right? Read that again.
Therefore hath he made 2 lots. One for the people of the Most High.
One for us as Israelites.
And another for all the Gentiles.
And another one for all the other races of people he created. Read.
And these 2 lots came at the hour and time and day of judgment before the Most High among all nations.
Right, a specific time. Read.
So the Most High remembered his people and justified his inheritance. Therefore those days shall be unto them in the month Adar.
The 12th month, right? Read.
The 14th and 15th day of the same month.
Today and tomorrow. Read.
With an assembly and joy and with gladness before the Most High. according to the generations forever among his people.
And with that, I'm going to say Shalom. All right.
Man, he got that energy up, don't he? Hey, give him a hand one more time.